There we go. I knew it. Welcome everybody to another episode of Papa G's House. Just a couple of housekeeping notes. Subscribe to Papa G's House on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram and all the rest. But it's great to have you here. I'm looking forward to a great episode with my man that's sitting next to me. I'll introduce him in a minute. But in the meantime, go hit a sub on that channel of mine, and we can get this party started, shall we?
I don't wanna go anywhere else. I wanna go to Papa G's.
Yeah, that's where we're going. Back in your lives, in your ears, and in your face. Welcome to another episode of Papa G's House. It is Wednesday, the 30th of September, and today is a special one. We've got the main beard himself from METAL4AFRICA, Mr. Patrick Davidson. Thanks for joining the show, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean,
Pleasure.
we've got lots to talk about today. I mean, I'm super excited to get into the nitty-gritty of M4A, Winterfest 20, Summerfest 21. But first things first, we're in lockdown level 1. I'm sure you've been busy. How has this whole road through the pandemic been for you, my man?
Well, the road that continues through the pandemic and continues to be.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, look, it's intense. And I know I'm not unique in saying or feeling that way. Like everyone is processing this in their own way.
Yeah, 100%.
And I found that for me to process this, it's been hard. I've faced my own difficulties, but I think having the opportunity to really take the bull by the horns as far as METAL4AFRICA goes, and the fact that we're kind of like, we're in a bit of a do or die. Mm-hmm. But I've found that actually quite thrilling.
Okay.
Look, stressful, make no mistake, stressful and like frightening.
Sure.
But at the same time, thrilling and exhilarating. It's like, I've always tried to feel that we've not been stagnating, that we've always been trying to keep things fresh and dynamic. But I think with how this situation has impacted us, it's like, now it's really putting us to the test.
No, absolutely. So I just want to get this up quickly so I can just see if we're all good. Let me just get this up quickly. Sorry, guys. This is welcome to DIY podcasting, just so you know. Let me actually, Pat, if you don't mind, I'm just going to check one more thing out.
Sure,
I just want to see if we're all running all good.
Yeah.
Let's put the background on for a second. All right, sorry. It seems like we're all up and running. Let me just get that sorted again. Welcome to DIY podcasting. I see there is a thing over there. Hopefully it'll pop up now. Get it rolling. There we go. All right. So, yeah, sorry about that, my man. I just wanted to make sure that we're live, up and running. As you know, now with the live in-person interviews, it's like you're away from the PC. You keep on stressing that everything's going to be live. So bear with me for the first couple of episodes, guys. But one thing I got to say is it's great to be in person again, man. So just dovetailing, you say it was something like a make or break.
Yeah, well, it still continues to be. Like with Winterfest, when lockdown was in its earliest stages, we were like, it's going to be a couple of weeks. Our first impression was going to be only 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But as the time drew on and we realized this is going to last much longer than we're being told.
Yeah.
And it occurred to us we're going to have to consider cancelling Winterfest. And that idea was just so unfathomable.
No, absolutely not.
So it's like, once we had made the decision that that's not going to happen, I won't say the rest was easy. I think the acceptance was easy, that the rest is going to be hard, but we're going to do it one way or the other.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes all the sense. And I'm so glad you guys did, because, look, it must have been such a daunting exercise to go from organizing a live show then to try and take an entire operation online and figure out how to stream and just it's one of those things that you're going from something that pretty much and then you've had 12 years experience doing, and then all of a sudden you're forced to go another avenue. And I must say I'm very proud of you for doing that, and it's been a hell of a it was so awesome. I mean, the way people were able to interact and stuff, it was something very, very unique and special. I mean, I know you're not going to be going the Discord route this new or are you? I'm not quite sure. Oh, you are. Are you keeping? Okay, you keep it, because I love that whole. Because I said didn't you in your? I mean, I think we're jumping around a little bit, but it's going to be exclusive to Twitch, yeah?
No. Well, I mean, if we're going to get onto what Summerfest is going to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we learned so much from doing Winterfest, which I mean, let's face it, for those of you who did take part in that, there were aspects of it that were quite a mess. But from our side, that was to be expected. And we kind of approached it with an attitude of, we had such a short period of time to learn a lot of the skills, and you could even say ideology about what we wanted to achieve. And you were just asking about Discord, and like a lot of people were asking us beforehand, and when I say people, I mean people in the events business, why Discord? It seems so cumbersome. And people warned us we were lining ourselves up for problems. It's going to be too complicated and stuff like that, which it was. It was very complex, and it was difficult to navigate and manage. But we felt so strongly about the emphasis on keeping it social.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of things that are happening over the internet in terms of like a festival or a performance is that they're not very social activities. Whereas we feel that over these last bunch of years doing our festivals, it's like, but they are social things, and we don't want to lose that character. So for us, it was like, all right, we dicing with the devil a bit, trying to do this Discord thing, but it felt so fundamental, so essential to do. So moving forward with Summerfest, which will be now, we released this big article today about what we're planning to do. And we've decided that with the relaxed laws, which we don't know, it could still become more relaxed, or it could go the other way.
Or it could go back the other way. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So we need to keep our game plan dynamic. I'm using that word so much these days.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like we need to be able to adapt and change as our environment adapts and changes.
Correct, yeah.
Which is why we felt trying to do a live festival the way we've always done in January, it's just too risky. Once we set those things up in motion, once we start separating with money, and then we might have to backtrack stuff. It's like, we've survived a huge financial knock for Winterfest because, we didn't really generate an income from that. That wasn't the prerogative.
Yeah.
But we can't suffer another knock like that.
Well, I think that for you guys, it was the prerogative at that stage was just to keep it going and to let your true believers and everybody know that the machine is going to keep on rolling no matter what happens, and we will take each day as it comes and assess the situation as the days go by.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you've kind of done with Summerfest, where you're going to introduce these new elements and stuff that we'll get to a bit later. But in terms of your main lessons from Winterfest, what would you say in terms maybe your 4 top lessons you learned from that experience? Because, the one thing I want to say is that also you say that, if you look into it and there are certain parts of it that were a mess, and you'll get someone like me who watched the entire thing who will beg to differ, to say that that is all teething stuff. It's your first shot. I mean, just for instance, I did see that the Robin Ferguson thing got played more than once, but that's not an issue to me. I mean, it's just be patient, people. And it's a matter of, this is a first run. Give everybody a chance. And I think even to complement that, all your viewers and the people who were listening and watching actually applied that patience, barring 1 or 2 people. I mean, there was no major kickback or anything like that, and it seemed like everybody thoroughly enjoyed themselves.
Well, if we have to think of 4 top lessons, that's
you can
tough.
expand it to 5 if you want.
Maybe, or 10.
I'm sure it wasn't that bad.
So in no specific order, but just to start with where you kind of trailed off there, like the first lesson we learned, I suppose, was from a technical point of view, you need practice. And it's not to say that we went in there without any game plan. Like, we did a few, like, what we call dry runs, in the time building up to it. But I think, we've become so proficient at doing actual live events. We don't even have to think about it. We just go in there and do what we do. And a lot of the problems we encounter, the solutions are like instinctual. It's like, you don't have to apply that much mental energy to solve a problem when you're like, I mean, not to blow our trumpets, but kind of expert level at what you do. Whereas when we go to this online endeavor, it's like, we are not expert at anything anymore. We're the noobs now. So I think for Summerfest, practice. Like, it's like we have to become more comfortable doing that kind of thing. So in the build up to Summerfest, we're obviously committing more of our personal time to just, working a studio space, working what do we call it? Like I don't even know what you would call it. Like a headquarters.
What's control room?
So, that was a big take. And I think from that lesson, we also came to understand, we could talk about lessons as technical things, but, I feel that a very small part of our enterprise over these last, 2007, like almost 14 years, a lot of our work has actually been people, not tech. If you work nicely with people, things move, and they move in a positive direction. So I think we really learned that more than any time ever before with the online show as well. Because people didn't have to be patient with us. People could have done anything else with their night.
Sure, absolutely.
Good
way to put it.
And what was supposed to be a 6-hour event turned into like a 7.5-hour event. But I mean, people stuck with us.
Absolutely.
And we were so like afraid that after the first 2 hours, we'd have no one left. But hell, man, even when I got off duty at like midnight,
people were still in rooms. And all
people
that
were still chilling, chatting, and hanging out. And to me, that gave it the feeling of, but we achieved what we had actually set out to achieve. Was to have a social engagement of bringing our community together. So the one lesson was technical. We need more practice. Doesn't matter how much you study and learn. Nothing substitutes experience. We know that. The other thing we know is that our people are loyal. I mean, we've always believed that, but now we know it. They will forgive us the oopsies. They stick with us. They understand that it's not us and them. It's all of us together. So that was a big take. And I think that's given us a lot of promise for what we have to do now, but because Summerfest is going to be an even more mammoth task.
Yeah.
But because, I think this time we're going to be asking more from the public than what we did for Winterfest. Winterfest, we only asked for your loyalty in terms of showing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not even sticking around, just showing up, which people did and stuck around. But this time we have to go back to the more, what do we say, traditional approach.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that we need an economy of sorts.
Yeah.
Money needs to flow.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do one event for free and then
Yeah.
start making that the norm.
Yes.
Because you obviously want to build in years to come and stuff, and that's how you do it.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to ask you, man, it was the practice part where you say practice. Don't you find it strange now, having all the knowledge and experience putting on these shows for the last 12, 13, 14 years, having to go now and practice?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
it's
must be so, I mean, I suppose we will get back to normal eventually.
Yeah. But I mean, look, this has been extremely demanding on time and personal resource. So, I mean, it's not been easy. And just on a personal level, like on a, let's call it like a mental, trying to keep your shit together. It's been tough.
Yeah,
because there's been a lot of things where there's new pressures on me that I haven't had before, that have had a knock on other aspects of my life. So it's a grueling time to be doing Metal for Africa.
Yeah.
Make no mistake. And it's not going to get easier soon.
No.
I think even when we do get back to a conventional festival again, which we're kind of holding thumbs will be Winterfest 2021, even that's going to be a new experience, but because now not only are we getting back to something we've skipped on for a whole year plus, but we're going to be adding another layer to it.
Yeah.
So
what you're saying is, soon when you go live, I mean, when you go live and in person again, you're gonna keep the online situation. Well, I mean, that's the thought. Maybe we have different elements.
We've had a taste of it now.
Yeah.
And so have you guys out there had a taste of it now. And back to the things we learned.
Yes.
Number 3
Yeah.
is we learned that we've got a much more widespread geographic reach than we believed we had. So we found that a lot of people from other parts of the country came and hung out.
Yeah.
So it's become their event too. So how do we now just cut them back out of it?
No, that's very true. I didn't think about that way. Yeah.
But I find that exciting. Like, this is where I feel it's going to be worth the work and some of the sacrifice that's being demanded. It's going to be worth it in the long run, because we're going to actually evolve through this thing with something, I believe, better than we had before. The shit hit the fan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the great thing about learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of this talk about online, I mean, we've been sort of talking behind the scenes for the last 2 or 3 years even. Like, we have to explore online, maybe have something where we have a camera in the venue, just nothing really sophisticated. It's just been talk and banter in the background. But we've always been so preoccupied doing the actual live shows that we've never really taken too seriously this whole thing about bringing in an online aspect.
Yeah.
But now we've almost had I don't want to say a blessing, because it doesn't feel like a blessing, but perspective. If you look at it from this point of view, we've had the blessing where we could actually focus purely on upskilling ourselves to online without the distraction of a live event, which we've been kind of, that's been unavailable to us for the last 13 years.
Yeah. No, true.
So it's like now we've really had the opportunity to dig in, and kind of almost without any excuses, we had to dig in.
Yeah, for sure.
And in that is kind of like a blessing in disguise, because now we've learned skills which we've been thinking about learning, but probably never would have done.
Yeah, and you were just forced into it, which is just kind of just for instance, for me, just for work, for an example, my life has become so much better.
Yeah.
And look, I understand the shit that's come with this whole pandemic, but it's essentially gave me what I wanted, but to work from home.
Yeah.
And now we haven't gone back.
Yeah.
And we're not going back.
Yeah.
And that's something that really I needed in my life.
Yeah.
You know, so now I'm a lot happier and all that kind of jazz. And I've learned a lot more. I mean, I never did these things live or anything like that. I was, I was forced to because I wasn't able to have people in person. So I think for anybody in the media kind of, or live music or anything, had to kind of adapt in some way, shape or form. I mean, you look at TV shows in America, Jimmy Kimmel and all those guys, they're doing their shows from home, you know? But so I think it's been a good learning experience for everybody. I wish it would fucking disappear, but
Well, I think, what you've described there is what I believe is a question of attitude. When this all started, I think a lot of people moved quickly from surprise to despair. And I know people who have not come out of that yet. But I think we probably all went through that sensation of despair at some point. But in terms of attitude, it's like, are you able to move from despair to opportunity?
No, absolutely.
Like, if that makes sense. And I suppose that depends on each person's circumstances. I mean, I lost my work because of COVID.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So sorry to hear that, man.
So, it's a fact of
it
life.
affects people differently.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people I know have been
you make me feel
impacted. No, it's just it's just a fact of life.
No, for sure.
But it's like some of those people have been, now I don't know what to do with my time and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, I'm going to learn new skills now because I have the time to do that.
Sure.
And I'm going to apply them to the things immediately relevant in my life. And that's where for METAL4AFRICA, it's like, all right, so I do have a bread and butter income from my music universe related activities. So I'm not destitute owing to having lost my work, but my situation is precarious moving forward until, everything for all of us stabilizes. But again, I'm better equipped in terms of my availability of time and mental resource to engage the challenges that we are now faced with. So, like I said, it's like a question of attitude. It's like, are you going to allow yourself to be beaten down by this thing and not try and find a way through it? And what I've noticed is a lot of people I know who have been affected badly, are resourceful.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to go into fight or flight mode.
Yeah. So I think that's to get to the fourth lesson.
Yeah. Let's keep on going.
Yeah. The fourth lesson we learned from this is adaptability. We all have to be adaptable. And, COVID has kind of really forced us into that. But again, it's kind of proven to us that as a species, humans are quite resourceful.
Absolutely.
And the fourth lesson that I would really like to talk about is what we noticed about from the artist's side.
Okay.
Is how we noticed when we were trying to book artists to commit to this crazy idea, there were some who were extremely reluctant. They were like, no, this is not our world. You're asking us to do something that we're not comfortable doing. So, no, we'll rather sit this one out, watch, learn, wait.
Sure.
And it's like, cool. No, hard feelings.
Sure.
Not everyone, especially considering the psychological state of being that a lot of people were in at the time that this was all happening. It was still a hard lockdown.
Yeah.
And so much uncertainty, whereas now we've kind of acclimatized to whatever's going on out there. It's like it's not so shocking anymore. But at that time, some people were like, oh, we don't even know when we're going to be able to rehearse again, let alone do a recorded performance or anything like that, and like the timeline was short. But I think in terms of being adaptable, we also made the decision to work with some solo artists because the new circumstance actually lent itself quite nicely to that. It's like there was no reason to not do that suddenly. And what we noticed, and I did write about this today as well, what we noticed that was to us very significant was that the solo artists who took part in Winterfest during their sets, they maintained a higher level of engagement than the traditional bands during their sets.
Okay.
Because the traditional bands were mostly just doing what a band would do.
Yeah.
They get in front of the audience, in this situation, the camera, and they play. But I think to an audience, that's fine and well. But there's nothing new or exhilarating in that experience.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not an equal substitute for the real thing. Definitely not equal. So what the solo artists were doing is, because they were solo, they had to kind of think differently about what they were going to do during their set time. And I think that was the key to the engagement level. People were fascinated by not watching just a band performing in front of a camera. And I'm not trying to say this in a way that's derogatory to the effort put in, but because, I mean, indeed, I was part of, we as METAL4AFRICA worked with two of the bands doing that exact stuff. I was a cameraman. I've done so many things that I've never done before in this Winterfest, where someone just had to get in and do some of the work. And, and I felt proud of what we had done. But at the end of the day, when you look at how an audience engages with content, it's like we need to think differently. As creative people, as musicians, performers, in this new world, we have to think differently. We have to adapt. And I think that if we had to call 4 lessons, that would be number 4.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think you also need to get a little bit of a tip of that. Oh, there we go. Let me just grab that quickly. My bad. Let me just, there we go. I think another thing that we need to just say is a tip of the hat for you, in that you are one of those people that will just go and get stuck in to get something done, and to go and be a cameraman, where essentially what you are doing is organizing this entire thing, So I think, kudos to you for being hands-on in every way, shape or form that you possibly can be.
Well, I think the funny story about that was I just rocked up at the studio on that day to be moral support. Because everyone's been thrust into this weird situation. I'm like, well, Pat, it would be the right thing to do to just be there. And then I get there and oh shit, we're a cameraman short. And it's like, well, it's a good thing there's someone standing here with nothing to do. And I think that was, for me, a good feeling of how doing a live event feels. But because my role over the years, I mean, the earliest days of doing the Summerfest and Winterfest, I was stage manager. So I was event coordinator, but I was also stage manager, which was quite intense, but somehow we got through those early events doing that. But, gradually you get members of a team to do these things. And for the last while, I've been more the guy who just steps in where stepping in is needed. So with Winterfest, it became the same. I was not supposed to be a presenter.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay. But you were the first person up.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you have to step in where someone's needed.
You got to do what you got to do. Eh?
Nathan's the guy we would normally use for that kind of stuff, but Nathan was the guy who had the best knowledge with the tech stuff.
Tech stuff, yeah.
So it's like, that was the funny thing about doing Winterfest, is everybody got thrust into a role which is not their conventional or expected role. We all had to just adapt and effectively do or die. I mean, Jacques Olivier, so he's become the right-hand man in terms of execution of the event on the day, Summerfest and Winterfest. But like now we didn't have a physical event, and the poor guy was like, what am I going to do? What is my role?
Yeah.
But the thing about Jacques is he's quite a versatile character. Like he catered for our wedding. So I was like, bro, you're going to cater for our headquarters. Yes.
Okay.
And him and his wife put together enough food to sink a battleship. Like that food lasted us not only the event, but for like the whole week following the event.
Go big or go home, man.
Yeah. But it's like every person connected to this project had to fulfill some role not in line with what their traditional function is.
Yeah.
No one got to stay in their comfort zone. No one.
Crazy.
It was fun though.
Amazing, man. I mean, I love it. I'm all about that. I mean, it's also experiencing something new, and you know that also it just it's testament to what you're all about as well. And you're into the community, and you want to keep the same people involved, where you manage to create something that would encourage people to be involved and all that kind of jazz. So and I'm sure they appreciate that as well, because at the end I think Jacques is usually an ops guy and he's taking care of all the gear, and he's giving everything stickers, and he's making sure all the security is tight.
He's briefing security, and he's making sure that stalls are set up at the right time, and that everyone's got their electricity points, and like very hands on and like you say, ops. But we didn't have any of that kind of work for him this time. Yeah. And like that sucked. Like it felt really like such a key member of your team is like not having a function to fill. How does that make them feel?
Exactly, yeah.
But once we gave him the food task, then he was in.
Yeah, of course. But that's why I'm saying it's so cool for you that you do that, and you apply your mind generously. And you want to include everybody, and everybody needs to feel fulfilled and have a role, etc. So and not a bury role. But so I think it's awesome that you keep your core team happy, so like, how was that whole experience? So, I mean, because I know at the end it was everybody came and they showered you with praise, and then gave you a beer, and you're like, this is well needed. How was that whole evening start to finish? Like, I mean, I can imagine the tempers flaring, and not tempers flaring, but just like the stress, the anxiety of doing this all for the first time, and everybody's
well, if I had to be entirely honest, and I'm sure if any of the others are watching or do watch this at some point, they'll like have a good laugh now. But for the 7.5 hours that we were running that event, it was dreadful. Because, first of all, none of us have done this before.
Sure.
So, people are looking for leadership, number one. And I didn't feel I was in any position to give any leadership in this instance. So it's like, like half the time I'm telling people, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. How am I supposed to tell you what you're supposed to be doing? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So the only thing we could try and do for each other a lot of the time was just do our best to try and keep the level of morale strong.
Sure.
And there was like once or twice where I thought we were going to lose Nathan. He's sitting there. There was at some point in the night where for like no reason whatsoever, I mean, after all the drama and all the trying to like get things done, and now it's cruising, it's flowing, and suddenly the internet just drops. Our connection to our home where headquarters was based, our internet just dropped. Something with the service provider, I guess. And like Nathan, he's sitting in front of the computer, and like, you can see that he's just been struck by lightning. It's like, he doesn't really know what's happened. And his brain is like in like this like freeze mode. And then it dawns on him that like, there's actually no internet connection right now. And like, his face just connects with that screen in front of him, and he just sits there for like a solid like 30 seconds, and we're all like frozen around him. It's like,
what do we do?
We know that opening our mouths right now is only going to cause damage.
Yeah.
Just let him take his moment. And then eventually he like sits up from the thing, and he's like, explosion.
Okay.
You know, but like not a violent or like towards us, just
a frustrating
yeah,
moment.
just like vent, and it's like, right, let's go and unplug the router and just do the usual rookie shit. Like you know, like what do you do? Is it going to work? We don't know, but we have to start somewhere.
No, absolutely. You know? It's one of those things, eh?
Yeah. So no, it was dreadful. But I think what was really great was when the whole thing was over. Now, to us, one of the failures of Winterfest was actually the fact that our team was very uninvolved in Discord, which was not the plan. We had kind of tried to set up our whole situation at headquarters that like we would have 5 or 6 team members constantly active inside the Discord environment as well. And for technical reasons, I'm not even going to go into now, that just
surely
wasn't...
bandwidth in one spot.
Bandwidth wasn't a problem necessarily. I think it had more to do with anxiety over bandwidth.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
But because, like, I mean, we had 100 up, 100 down line.
Okay.
You know, and we'd spend a lot of money on getting that set up for exactly that purpose.
Yeah.
But on the day, things just weren't stable, and those turned out to be more actual hardware issues.
Okay.
But as a consequence of that, the anxiety of why we're struggling so, you know, and then the bandwidth came into question. It's like, all right, everybody's device is off.
Yeah.
You know, the only things that we can have running now is the stuff that's providing the service.
Everybody off.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Turn off your
like,
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's like, that was a bummer. But once the show was done, and we saw, but there's still activity. People are hanging around in Discord. It looks like there's a KIF vibe. We actually just unplugged everything, and we went out onto the little balcony where smoking is allowed, because people don't smoke indoors at my house.
Yeah.
And
I
like
hope not.
we just sat there for hours getting shit-faced.
Excellent.
And it was lovely.
No, good.
And like, you know, people were laughing who we hadn't seen laughing in weeks. You know,
Yeah,
so for us the experience of doing Winterfest was pretty horrible. But the experience of Winterfest overall was exquisite. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I mean, look, you wouldn't change it for anything, but you're amending it slightly for Summerfest 21. Huh?
Say again, where?
Well, I mean, you're amending the format slightly.
Yeah.
But so I think maybe it's time to start getting into the old Summerfest 21, because it is slightly a different format.
Yeah. All right.
It's exciting because now we're dealing with certain things called watch parties, entrance fees, to gain a little bit of financial stability, and excited. So where do we start? Like, let's first of all talk about the format.
Yeah.
Okay, much the same with slight amendments, and then you're going to be doing watch parties where people can actually go and attend in those various venues. For instance, Trenchtown, Ellington's, and some others will be screening the entire performance.
All right, so we've dwelt enough on the past.
Yes.
Now we look to the future. But when we look to the future, obviously, and I've said it to so many people already, because people are confused that we're not pushing to go live immediately. Obviously, we all want the live festival as soon as possible.
Sure.
As soon as possible. But we have to approach it not only in a way that's careful that it doesn't damage us on the process to getting there, but we're trying to think of a way to also really capitalize on what we've learned. You know, and those 4 lessons we talked about earlier on. I mean, look, there's many other lessons, and I'm glad we had to stop at 4. Otherwise, we'll be here till next week.
Sure, that's why I stuck to 4.
Yeah, but even those 4, we could speak for hours and hours. But it's like, in terms of the future, when we go back to live, we don't want to leave online behind us like as if it never happened, because it did happen. You know, we've got a T-shirt to prove it. Like, I don't know if you saw the last design with.
I did with the mouse.
Yes,
there's a little mouse out the beak of the. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, so you know, like we try and where we can be a little bit cheeky, use the artwork to like tell the story of where we are. So you know, we want that to be a part of our story going forward as well. But we haven't yet consolidated that.
Yeah.
So, you know, something I've learned from doing events over all the years is like you actually don't want to grow too quickly, because you know, you grow too quickly, you're on an unstable foundation, things topple over quickly.
Sure.
You want to grow quickly, but with care. And my advice to anybody doing anything, take it or leave it, is consolidate.
Yeah.
When you've tried something and it shows signs of promise, consolidate it. Don't just suddenly move quickly on to the next thing and neglect that thing thinking it's fine and okay. Because, I mean, we know that ours was not fine and okay. It was only a first step. Now we need to consolidate that. You know, it had its successes and failures.
Yeah.
Let's consolidate it to be successful. And that's how we've built Summerfest and Winterfest over all of these years. You know, like, there's certain things we've tried to introduce, and the first time it didn't go the way we had wanted. But then we're like, all right, do we just can it? And like some ideas we do can. But if it showed signs of promise, we say we need to consolidate that before dismissing it, or before just trying to do it again and again and again without it actually serving a useful purpose. So the online thing, we feel, in terms of the response we got from people in other parts of the country, and actually more specifically South Africans living abroad, who got to actually experience interacting with their scene again. They loved it so. And, you know, that's always been why we started talking about online stuff years ago. So, like, because we're not really a business, we see ourselves as a community-based project, like I don't know, like an organization rather than a business. Like, we work with people, and we are about people. We're not about money. We're about people. So if we have South Africans abroad who want to feel a part of their scene, like, we adopt that as part of our interests. You know, and when we do our shows, okay, so we're based in Cape Town, or we have been based in Cape Town. It's always been important to us. We must get at least 1 or 2, or if we can, 3 bands from outside of the city, because we want to stimulate that interaction between people. You know, because that's how we feel that we'll, you know, grow our scene and enjoy a healthy scene. So, sorry, I'm kind of tangenting a bit.
No, you're absolutely right. No, but I completely agree with you. You have to. And I think it's so important, you know, you saying about the overseas viewers, or the people, the expats and all that kind of jazz. It was a huge stepping stone, because now you are able to get that wider reach to Johannesburg, to East London, to you know, the rest of the provinces in this country, but as well as the rest of the world. It's phenomenal.
And I think also, like, if we did just recklessly, now I use that word, maybe, like, some people have said I'm a bit cowardly, I'll be honest, and I've wondered this myself.
Explain?
Well, the fact that, you know, like, a lot of people believe, no, we should be able to have gigs by that time. I mean, there's gigs happening now already. I mean, I see for Halloween, my good friend Sash up in Joburg, she's doing a Halloween show with, like, Facing the Gallows and Deadline and a couple of other cool bands on that bill. So it's like, I mean, that's going to be potentially like a big show. You know, so, and that's now. Why aren't I gearing up for, you know, a full live Summerfest on 30th of January? So, but when I talk about, so, you know, cowardly, that's the context of that. But I don't think I'm really being a coward. It's about consolidation. If we went back to a full-blown festival, it would consume all of our attention right now. Every avenue we've now made, every gain we've made with Winterfest, and realizing this about our more distant supporters and friends and people who want to be a part of this, will be lost. Just like that.
Yeah, but I think another thing to consider is the fact that instead of, you know, think about that show that's coming up, there can only be 250 people there. You can't make that call yet, because I mean your usual venue is Metronome in Brackenfell that can house up to 500 more.
But at the moment they can only have, if I understand correctly, 150 people.
Yeah.
So we can't hold a successful event of that scale if we're under a restriction to how many people we can
Correct.
have enter. Either the ticket price would have to go to a stupidly high value, which I'm not willing to do, or we have to remove some of the biggest expenses, which I'm sorry to say is stage, sound, and light.
Hell no! What are you gonna hold an acoustic show?
yeah, exactly. So we can't do a gig of that caliber unless we can, with ease and comfort, invite 450 to 500 ticket holders.
Yep.
So,
It's not feasible.
It's not to say that we won't be able to do that by January, but no one can assure us that we can. So, but anyways, moving away from the cowardness aspect, because like I say, that's not really.
Well, you said it, not me.
No, look, I'm an honest person. I wear my
but
heart
I
on the sleeve.
wouldn't put coward. I would put cautious.
Yeah, cautious. But I mean, like it has been kind of there.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the whole thing about consolidating, look, we want to get people together in a physical space, but we're thinking longer term as well. When we do have our full-fledged festival in Cape Town back, which, if everything goes according to plan,
Winterfest 21.
Winterfest,
Yeah.
we're going to be back full steam, but we're going to be back better because of the care we took now.
You're nurturing what it's going to be
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
It's,
So now we get to the exciting stuff
Yeah.
to talk about. And this is the Watch Party Network. That's the name we're giving it.
Watch parties are great. It's a great way to put it. I mean, a watch party is you're getting a limited amount of people to a venue to watch something. You add all those people up in the different venues. You could potentially have more people than would be at a physical event.
Yeah. We could go from maybe a 450 tickets sold to maybe 800 tickets sold.
Correct. 100%.
Doesn't mean more money, but because we're obviously going to make tickets cheaper because there's no actual live music.
Sure.
But it means that we are stimulating an economy, which at the moment
You're supporting local.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, I mean, it depends what industry you're in, but I'm obviously connected very closely to the entertainment and events industry. And I think the Cape Town economy, or at least the way I've experienced my interactions with a lot of the people who I move in circles with, they are events people, they are hospitality people. They are very hurt financially by the current situation. So my view on it is probably darker than some people's view whose income hasn't been impacted by this period that like we're still going through. So it's like we have to think carefully about them as well. And I don't know how much I'm allowed to say about it, but I do know that Ramfest has ambitions. And we know that they made their magnificent comeback in Cape Town, at least, now in 2020, like a week before lockdown.
Yeah, it was early March, second week of March.
But I mean, they are looking at March again. So, and that's going to be a festival. So I think from an economic point of view, we have to consider we can't push an agenda where we asking people for more money to do a Summerfest than they've ever had to pay for a Summerfest before. Now that just doesn't make sense, especially when
people are hurt in terms of financial and stuff like that,
and especially with Ramfest coming right after. And like we work very closely with Ramfest, so it's not a question of like, oh, our date is first, we don't care about theirs.
No,
we want both to be a success. So, like as I was telling Marcus, who's the main manager or partner of the Cape Town festival, it's like we would rather put all of our live metal band eggs in the Ramfest basket at this time. We feel that would be a better decision. And people are going to disagree with that point of view. People are going to, but I think a lot of others will see the sense of it as well. Let us consolidate a new kind of Summerfest, Winterfest experience that will manifest properly in Winterfest. Let us consolidate that now. Support us through this and you'll see what can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah,
you know, and we'll give you the breathing room to support Ramfest as well.
Yeah.
That's the way we're seeing it.
Yeah.
So for Summerfest, yes, we're going to, rather than putting all of our, sorry, I'm using eggs in the basket now.
Yeah, sure.
What we did for Winterfest past is we put all of our eggs in the Discord basket.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to do that again. We just found that those who were quick enough and technologically savvy enough, they basically just set up where on the one side they were watching Twitch, getting the direct stream from Twitch because it was better quality, and not watching the stream within Discord, but still having Discord open on this side and then just hanging out and having the social experience. So for someone who's sitting at home with just a mobile phone, it's not ideal, but they can still have the Winterfest 20 experience on their mobile phone at Summerfest 21. But if you have a laptop or a computer or whatever, TV. Rather try and experience Winterfest on a computer than on a mobile device. It'll be better, we promise. We've learned this.
I mean, but in all fairness, the Twitch, when you finally got the Twitch up and running and moved over from Discord, the quality was great. I had no issues whatsoever.
Well, the thing was, Twitch was always part of our plan.
Yeah.
It just wasn't part of our public plan.
Yeah.
We were like, well, we're going to run it on Twitch because it gives us reliability and stability, which we need.
Gives you a fallback as well.
Yeah. Well, we didn't even really think of it too much as a fallback. We just said, what we pull into Discord is going to be from Twitch. And in our mind, we don't have to tell anyone about Twitch because we don't want them to be there and not here because we wanted it to be a social event. But we've learned.
There's so many factors you need to take into consideration. Yeah. It's like, we want it to be social, but we want it to be great quality. We want people to have their own separate rooms, and then we want this and we want that.
Yeah,
and you know what? For the most part, Pat, you did it.
Yeah, we had a budget of like only 5,000 Rand.
Listen, and you put all that 5,000 Rand to good use.
Yeah.
So I think, 10 out of 10 for effort, and B, I would do it again.
Yeah.
As it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and also the thing is, you're taking this opportunity to, you really apply your mind, and I think that's why they call you the main beard, because there's lots of wisdom in that beard.
There's a lot of brain. What do they say? It's like dead brain matter going. In my case,
it's all going to good use because I mean, you're still coming up with the sharp ideas and applying your mind to what is most logical. I think you're a pretty logical thinking human being, and another thing with you, I think you don't make decisions based on emotion. And I think both of those factors hand in hand make for a perfect leader in that kind of position. Think about, you've always got to be the level head, and you always have been right throughout the M4A history. As far as I've been involved, you've always been that level head. You've never panicked too much to a point where it's unmanageable.
Not visibly.
Not visibly. Well, all I can say is you've got a great poker face, if that's the case.
Yeah.
So. I think that's great, and I think with your younger team and stuff at the moment, a lot can be taken out of this and this period, and it also shows you what leadership can do in a time like this. And I commend you on that, and also on the fact that you're really trying to already take what you've got, and then you've some things went well, some things didn't particularly go well. Who believes that whether that holds much weight? For me, it doesn't, because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I got an extra hour and a half of fun. You didn't, but I did. And I think just to bring you down,
one man's treasure is another, or one man's trash is another's treasure.
There we go. And I think that's the way a lot of people actually are looking at it, where you like you said, that entire 7.5 hours was dreadful. But for someone like me, to see what you pulled off was just only pleasure.
Well, I'll tell you what, to see how much enjoyment some people got from it, I'll happily suffer those 7.5 hours again. I mean,
there was one point in Discord where I popped into a room and everyone was like, "Papa G," and what's going on? I don't know how to, and then I panicked so hard I actually left the room.
Oh boy!
I was like,
you got stage fright.
Yeah, I got stage fright and I left. And I'm usually good at this type of thing. I have to be prepared. Don't come up with surprises. But I tell you what, I worked my way I downloaded Discord a week before just to make my way around. I had no clue what was going on. And then I went onto the M4A portal. What do you call them? M4A room? Do they call? I don't know what they call them.
A server.
Server, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
and then within the servers, you get rooms. And for me, it was so user-friendly, so easy to navigate. Meanwhile, because I also believe I'm a bit of a toppy and don't.
But the
really
thing is, you're a gadget guy. I mean, look at this space and look at what you do as a hobby and all that stuff. Like, you're a gadget guy. And I think this is why for Summerfest, it's urgent that we integrate into our online event a physical component with urgency. Because we know that a lot of people did struggle with
sorry about that.
with the technology. You know, not everyone is how do we say, like, technology or technologically
techno savvy.
inclined. Yeah. So, you know, and some of them, you know, it's not that they're stupid. They're certainly not stupid. I think they lack patience.
Yeah.
So what we would like to do as soon as possible, and well, what we're going to do for Summerfest is having that physical component, having a watch party. No, you don't have to sit and struggle at home with your computer and you just want to chuck that thing into the swimming pool or out the window.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it.
You don't have to do that anymore, because we did lose people like right in the first half hour who just struggled too much. So for Summerfest, come to a watch party.
Come to a watch party.
Yeah. So what we're doing is, at this stage, we've already got commitments from 3 venues around Cape Town alone. But I mean, Cape Town is our traditional stronghold. We felt it's important that like we need that capacity, where if we are still in lockdown or even in a worse lockdown again, who knows, but that we can distribute people closer to their home. Let's say there's still curfew.
Yeah.
People can be closer to home. And that we don't have to like get packed into a place, because some people are going to be uncomfortable with this.
Tell you what,
Yeah.
I would be.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. I mean, I'm in a position where I have to make an application to have things done virtually. But you know, I would feel uncomfortable. I mean, it's not a matter of I think I'm going to die or I think I'm going to infect my parents and they're going to die or whatever the case may be. I just don't want to get sick in any way, shape or form. I don't care. I hate being sick. So if there's a possibility of me being sick, getting sick, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Obviously within reason. I mean, things like this, I love it because it's one-on-one. Oh, there we go. But I really dig it. That's it.
But I think, you know, what I'm also finding is just in conversations with people, for a lot of people I'm speaking with, and like there's definitely a shifting attitude.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people feel over this. They feel over the constricted sensation of lockdown and all that jazz. So some of them are saying, you know, I'm just going to bring up a conversation I was having again with my friend Sash. You know, she's a school teacher, and like she says, if I have to risk my life going to work where I'm forced to be in a hall with 200 people at work, why should I be denied to risk my life doing something that I enjoy outside of work? You know, so it's a question of choice. Each of us are entitled to choice, or should be entitled to choice. So I think our approach to Summerfest is we're going to give you choice.
But can I just add to this quickly? For instance, I would be uncomfortable maybe being around 500 people, like a traditional M4A. Yeah,
where it's hot and sweaty.
Exactly. Now, a watch party, for instance, where there might be 50 to 100 people, that's more manageable. Yeah. So I think what you're doing is the right thing. And I think the way you're going about it, and you're slowly going in increments to develop back to your full-fledged, because I can tell you what, by doing that and adding the little elements along the way, learning new tricks and new technological advances and stuff like that, you're going to end up with such a great product at the end of the day. I mean, just for instance, you know, you mentioned me. I'm a gadget guy. I'm getting the streams and all that kind of stuff going. But I didn't know how to do that 6 months ago.
You think we knew anything?
Exactly,
We
because
knew
what
nothing.
So what I used to do is I used to record, not connected to anything, and I used to record into a DAW, a digital audio workstation. For those of you who don't know, like a Cubase, and then I would have to sync the audio and all that kind of jazz.
yeah.
Where live streaming, you get it all at once.
Yeah.
And there's no editing or anything like that. And that's kind of like also, but it also live streaming and pre-recorded stuff have their ups and downs as well. I'm still busy trying to figure that out, because I don't know whether my live streaming, actually guys, hit me in the comments and let me know, do you guys like the live stream element and having to interact and all that kind of jazz, or are you just cool with the pre-recorded thing? Because I truly believe that in my heart of hearts, I like the interaction and stuff. I like to see Art Pereira and Julian Emden, those dudes in the chat. And thank you guys for joining the show. We'll get to your question in a bit, Art. But you see, that's what I like about it. And I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice that just yet.
Yeah.
Even though it may mean lower numbers.
Yeah. Well, lower numbers in real time.
True. Very valid. But also, like I said to you off air earlier, it's almost those people, people kind of won't watch it back because they weren't part of the live experience kind of thing.
Okay.
So I don't know what's right, what's wrong, and all that kind of stuff. But that's not really relevant to you. It's more so relevant to me. So your watch parties, you've got Ellingtons. Who are the three that are currently confirmed?
So in Brackenfell, we're going to work with Metronome because we have such a good relationship with them. Why not work with them? Yes, of course. And I think a big part of our base is north. Like south,
Don't be disrespectful to the south now.
No, I'm just saying.
Joking.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm in the south.
It's like, yeah. And, you know, like in terms of when we were looking for venues, and we try to ask people, like, what's down south? And like, Changetown? And they're like, but is that even south? That's like central.
Yeah, it's observatory area.
Yeah. Do you call that south though?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do.
All right.
It's 5 k's away from here.
I always think of south as like south of Cape Town, and I see your observatory as part of Cape Town. But I suppose it's
it's
semantics.
It's more central than south.
Yeah.
Because you're a hop, skip, and a jump away from the CBD.
Yeah.
But literally, it's 4.5 k's from here.
Okay, cool.
Not very far at all.
So we've got Trenchtown too on board.
Awesome.
And we've got Ellingtons. So I think our distribution, like across the biggest populated areas of Cape Town, is pretty good.
Sure.
Like we may or may not do something out Stellenbosch, Somerset West side. Like I think that's something we can take as time unfolds closer to the time, because again, we have to stay dynamic. So we don't want to like have venues everywhere and then like it just
you don't want to bite off more than you can chew just yet.
Exactly. So we have also got a commitment from Jar Bar up in Pretoria, which is old Heine van der Walt.
Okay.
From Borgasm.
Yes, I was going to say that rings a bell. That's
Borgasm. That's his place now.
Okay, awesome.
So he was very keen on the idea. So
Deadline actually played there like 2 weeks ago or something.
It was actually
Carlos, was a brilliant show.
It was actually Carlos that told me to get in touch that side.
Okay, shout out Carlos. Shout out Jesse Switchblade.
Yeah.
Let's shout out Jesse Switchblade.
Get it right.
Yeah.
So and then we've been in touch with the Winston Pub.
Yes,
by,
in Durban.
Matthew
House.
Who did the Pit at the Polo vibe.
Yes.
So we're working with him and the Winston. We are in discussion with Warriors Pub out in Bloem, and the guys who normally do the metal circuit shows. They were obviously robbed of that this year as well. We're reaching out to various venues.
And Fred from Rumours at all?
Yeah, we are reaching out to him presently. We were just trying to decide, like, what's the deal between Rumours Lounge and Rumours Rock City? Because as a Cape Townian, we don't know that distinction too well.
Yeah, I think Rumours Lounge is the one that's been there for quite some time. And then Rock City, there's a...
But they've moved a bit.
Yeah, the Rock Cities have moved. It went to Hillfox, and then it went to Cresta.
But even Rumours Lounge that's open now is not the Rumours Lounge I visited 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not the same physical venue.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's taken a bit of time to just liaise a bit with some of the locals and try and assess what would be the most sensible approach. So we are approaching Fred, and we're also approaching in Edenvale. There's a pub. It used to be called Burnout. It's now 1610 Pub and Grill.
Okay.
So the idea is to, like with Cape Town, just get some geographic coverage.
Yeah.
So Rumors is more in the sort of like north and west coverage of the greater Johannesburg area, and 1610 is sort of Edenvale. That's what, like, closer to the east. So yeah, that's our plan.
I tell you what, I got a new idea.
Yeah.
$50 to get into Papa G's house, and then I'll donate all the cash to you guys.
All right.
That's a watch party. If I invite
dude.
$10,
Yeah.
10 buddies, that's
Yeah.
$500 to the chords. So
'Cause-
I'm
'cause-
telling you, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. So this is actually where a very important part of the whole discussion needs to come into play, is the fundraising aspect of it.
Yes.
Like, to do the online event, in terms of the digital infrastructure and the costs to Metal for Africa, we need to raise between $5,000 and $6,000. That has to happen.
Yes.
That's before any band has actually been remunerated. Oh, and that was a 5th lesson
Yes.
from Winterfest.
We'll add the lessons as we go.
It's like, I think, like, our approach was maybe pure, good intentioned, but didn't work out.
Yeah.
The intention was we wanted to make the event free to sign in, so that people could, whilst they're there, rather than pay Metal for Africa, because we'd made that decision. We're doing this. We're
Yeah.
spending the money. So rather than paying us or giving us donations, we were telling or trying to get the vibe going where it's like, support the band you enjoy. Support all of them if you like. Donate directly to the bands.
Yeah.
Because I think also with a short amount of time, we had to put it all together to like centralize the financial management and all that stuff. It was just too much to like take on.
For sure.
But I think in the whole like of the event, people just didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
So that we learned from too. It's like doing an event which has many bands, doing an event that has many distractions, a lot of social engagement.
Yeah.
People aren't thinking, oh, I must remember to do a donation here at Rough Magic, or oh, and I had budgeted to do Rough Magic and Deadline and, maybe Robin Ferguson,
Yes.
but they just never got around. It's like,
Yeah.
in that vortex of like festivities, like that didn't happen much.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to take a different approach. It's like Winterfest was a great free for all, and I think we needed it. All of us needed it. We needed that experience in the hardship of hard lockdown, no booze, and like hectic restrictions on movement. So no one's resentful or holding a grudge or anything like that. Everyone is happy that they did it. But in terms of a model for the future, it ain't going to fly. You know what I mean? So our fundraising for Winterfest is we started T-shirt orders today. So you guys can check out the artwork.
It looks amazing. Should we maybe pull it up and see? I don't know if you're keen for that. Because to be honest with you, maybe what we should do quickly is have a little interlude. Maybe I've got an idea to play the performance of Truth and Its Burden quickly, so we can quickly have
that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, just they released Weightless from their performance.
Yes.
So I thought maybe let's quickly check that out. Have a little comfort break, and we can wrap the rest of it up, and we can chat.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, and Truth and Its Burden, I believe their full Winterfest performance will actually be released kind of as a bit of a thing.
Awesome.
Which is so cool because they're that proud of it.
Absolutely.
And oh man, that's just so lovely.
So let's check it out while we rock and roll here. Let's get the Truth and Its Burden. I think this is it. No, is that it? No, that's not it. Let's see. Yeah, it's called Weightless. Yeah.
I think so.
Let's see quickly.
I think part of the label of the thing is Winterfest. So
so we just go Winterfest.
it might be if you search them and that.
Winterfest. There we go.
Away.
Live Through Hell. live through hell, live or live through hell. Yeah, this is going to be cool. And then we can have I'm searching on the wrong bloody place. And then we can have a little bit of a quick break and then come back.
Cool.
Sweet.
So what happens? Does it actually cut your stream?
No. It just says that we've detected some copyright, but I don't care because those are one of my those guys are one of my favorite bands, Truth and Its Burden. So go check them out. That was Live Through Hell, and and that was part of the Winterfest performance.
Yeah. And I just want to add, I'm so proud of what these guys achieved from Ashley's home.
I know, it's incredible.
Ridiculous.
Also, while you guys are at it, I mean, if you've got nothing to do after myself and Mr. the main beard have stopped chatting, go check out my episode with Ashley of Truth and Its Burden. It was a real goodie. And we had an absolute blast. But back to Winterfest, back to M4A. We talking about the fundraising part of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just really needed to go to the...
No worries.
These are bigger than normal.
Oh, hell. I've still got number 2.
There we go. So, I mean, the fundraising part of it, what's happening there?
Yeah, all right. So we need to raise the money to do the online side of it. That has to happen.
Yeah.
So T-shirts, like this Winterfest, we did T-shirts at a really stupid low price. We like slimmed down the artwork. to be only like limited color palettes and stuff to like keep cost of printing low.
Yeah.
And it worked. People bought them, and we so appreciate that support. But because the whole T-shirt, it was less about selling T-shirts than it was about a lot of the people who've started collecting the shirts. Because I've got people who order whether they're at the festival or not. Because not everyone can be at every single one. They order the shirts. They want them. It's part of a collection now.
Yeah.
So with the whole Winterfest thing and that cool artwork, people are like, no, we must have a shirt.
Yeah.
So we did them cheap just to move enough numbers during the time where a lot of people were but like tight on cash. So what we're doing is we're applying the same principle of keeping the cost of printing lower, but we're going to see if people will support us with the conventional price. In terms of it being a fundraising drive.
Yes.
So we're not going to overcharge for the shirt. Like, our philosophy with METAL4AFRICA is never charge more than you have to for anything.
No, for sure. What are you trying to? I mean, you're not.
Yeah.
You're trying to do it to get the brand out there, and not trying to.
If you look at what we've been charging for our live events, I mean, venue owners are disgruntled because they're saying we're too cheap.
Wow.
And it's like, well, but look at the happiness on these people's faces. Not
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
here can afford a 400 Rand ticket. So anyways, that's always our philosophy. So what we're going to ask the public to do is to if you are among those fortunate people who still have your full income intact and you do love the work we do, then please consider buying a shirt at the conventional price, even though we are applying the same hack as we did with the previous batch, but because that'll help us get the funds towards what we need to do the online side of the show. We're also going to be doing in Cape Town specifically, maybe in Joburg.
Yeah.
It depends on the people we're discussing up there with, but we're going to do a small handful of like warm-up parties, cheap entrance, just DJs, and you'll find that we ourselves are going to be DJing. So
please, can I host one?
yeah, dude.
I'd love to host one.
So the idea is just to have fun. It's like something like METAL4AFRICA has established itself as a serious brand. But, as human beings, as metalheads, we like to just have fun as well.
Yeah.
And that's something one of our team members, Tamsin, the mistress of mischief.
The mistress of mystery.
Yeah, she's cool,
mistress of mischief. Yes.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
It's like she loves putting forward like things that are a little bit cheesy because it's fun.
Absolutely.
So like our whole approach to doing the fundraising parties is keep it cheap, keep it lighthearted, but keep it fun. So all the METAL4AFRICA staff are being kind of like roped in to do something.
Okay.
And it's like, just come and hang with us and have fun.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're going to be starting off with a Halloween party at Ellington's.
Okay.
No live music, just us DJing and having fun. Because the live music, sadly, that's the part which we have to build ourselves back towards. But for now, it's more about building back towards.
Is this Halloween? So is it going to be the 31st or is it going to be
31st?
31st. My cubic, I'm staying at your house.
Yeah. And then we're going to be doing at Trench Town on the 7th of November.
Down the road from me, I'll be there.
And then we'll do another one at Ellington's and another one at Trench Town between these first two and Summerfest. If we can do something in other parts of the country, if there's interest, which we're going to be exploring, then we will, but we're not going to force it. But at the end of the day, we believe that doing these things, the T-shirts and the fundraiser parties, that should help us to pay for the METAL4AFRICA expenses.
Okay.
As in the streaming and digital infrastructure and stuff.
Okay.
Summerfest and the watch parties, we need you guys who can. We need you to support those because financially the funds raised from the watch parties, we want to be able to distribute amongst the bands.
Yes, of course.
Because of the fail we had previously where people were just too jawling to really think about that part of the event as the event was running.
Yeah.
I felt bad about that. It's not that nobody got anything, but it was not what we believed we could get based on what we've learned. You know, because I've been talking with people who are doing online shows left, right, and center, and some of them are putting a pay gate, and the only way that you can experience that thing is by paying. So, you know, that approach, we struggle with that.
Yeah.
And what I've heard from some people I've spoken to is they've tried both options. They've tried the pay gate, then they've tried the donations only. And they've said that with the donations mechanism, they usually raise roughly the same amount of money as if they would have done a pay gate.
Oh, wow. Really?
If not more.
If not more.
If not more. But they've had more audience. So at the end of the day, what do you actually want out of this? And that's always been our philosophy too. It's like, you know, get the people to come, and those who can spend will spend. But rather than forcing them to spend on a ticket, let them buy merch and support the crafts people who have their stalls. Like, you know, it's stimulating an economy in our scene. So rather let those who have the money spend it than making the ticket price too high and shutting out those who don't have the money.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, yeah, our approach for Summerfest is with all these watch parties scattered around the country, it's the chance that you guys can support your artists. So the watch parties are not actually about Metal for Africa, it's about the artists.
Yes.
Whereas the T-shirt sales and the warm-up parties, that's about us.
Okay. Now, a follow-up question. Obviously something during the pandemic has blown up. It's a nice beer, that, eh?
God, this is delicious.
We discovered them recently.
Yeah.
Non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's called the Devil Speak Hero, and it tastes just like a craft beer.
This is fantastic. Sorry, it was like just such a like what?
Yeah.
After what I've just had. Yeah.
And
Devil Speak.
100%. And
Are we
Zero.
allowed to do that?
Shout out to my new sponsor, Devil Speak.
Yeah.
But that really is a nice beer, and zero hangover. And you can drink as many and drive as you wish.
Sorry, I just messed up your question.
Yeah, no, I don't know how many as you I said, but as you wish.
Yeah.
But gotta say that is a great beer. I endorse it fully. So my next question was, one thing that has popped up during this whole pandemic is the Busker app. And now tell me, there were a few episodes. There were a few performances that had their Busker episodes. Their Busker codes, epicodes, up there. Are you still going to be permitting that to happen? And what's the story there?
That is something we will deal with the artists as they unfold. But because the Busker code, that is the mechanism we were relying on for Winterfest.
Okay.
Not for Metal for Africa, but for the artists.
Oh, I thought, okay.
So the idea was that the artists could set themselves up to be ready to receive donations. But what we found, I mean, look, no disrespect to an innovative and pioneering enterprise. That's what we are.
That's what we all are.
Yeah. But on the weekend of Winterfest, Busker failed.
For real?
Yeah, and they apologized and all that jazz, but it's like maybe that was part of why the success of that aspect didn't really measure
come to
up.
fruition. Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who will ever know?
Sure.
So I think we will liaise with the artists and say, look, receive donations if you can, by all means. We don't have a monopoly over you and your content. In fact, the arrangement with bands is like Metal for Africa does not own any content. We only have the privilege of giving it that once-time play on the festival itself. And even the bands who we helped to create the content, which was Oh God and the Fallen Prophets, like, it's not ours, it's theirs. It's our gift to them. And those who made their own, like with we were just watching Truth and Burden, they are now releasing that independently. You know, it's their prerogative what to do with that content. So if they want to look for donations on it or just premiere it at a M4A online event and then put a pay gate on it later or something like that. It's like, guys, it's your product. You do with it what you see fit.
That sounds amazing, and that brings me to another point. Is that's another feather in your cap, Mr. Davidson, in that Mr. Davidson, in that
Mr. Howard.
Check out Raksha's episode, Mr. Howard. But it's another thing, feather in your cap, is that you were willing to go there and go out on a limb and help these guys get their content for them just to keep. There was no strings attached.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's great of you to do.
It's my mandate.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, you used a word earlier on which I'm a bit uncomfortable with, leader. I prefer to be referred to maybe as a visionary than as a leader.
Okay.
You know, it's like I have ideas, but it doesn't mean I'm the best person suited to the task of carrying them out and fulfilling them. But where I do thank you for the compliment is, yes, I do think things through.
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
You know?
Well, there's a lot of people who don't.
Yeah. So, you know, when it comes to what I do, this work that I do as the beard of Metal for Africa, I am financed publicly. You know, when I said I'd lost my work at the beginning of lockdown, I have a bread and butter from the community through True Believer membership. Yeah. So for me to turn each aspect of Metal for Africa into a money-making enterprise, it's not part of the agenda. Never has been. You know, people have often, you know, people who care for me. And I'm not talking family and stuff. I'm talking people in the scene. Yeah. They said, Pat, you must start putting a percentage of the turnover as a commission and stuff. But the thing that I realize is that if I become financially dependent on events, this whole thing's going to go downhill fast.
Okay. Because
my commitment to it will be on a different foundation. It's dangerous ground, that. Yeah, dude.
Well, I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Just saying, like, obviously you've been doing, and let me sit back and be an observer for a second. And you've been doing this for 14 years. This is your 14th year, or you're going into your 14th year. You've put your heart and soul to it. You've done a biannual event for that exact period. When is it time to start giving back to yourself?
No, well, that started with True Believers.
Okay. No,
in 2012.
As long as you are
time, yeah. But I think if I had to quantify the amount of hours and effectively start billing for those, no, man, the scene can't afford me.
Yeah, well,
the scene can't afford anyone to do that kind of work.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope that people actually, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a all hail Pat kind of thing.
Don't.
But I mean, I won't. But I do think that people need to actually start to take notice of the amount of time, effort, energy, and stuff that it takes.
What about the time and effort of energy of all the other people around the country doing much the same thing? I'm just lucky, I guess, that I've been consistent enough and around long enough, and somehow I've managed to win enough people's trust. Which I hope I never betray.
I don't think you will.
So
just got a hunch.
Yeah. So like, I think that's the difference, really. And you know what they say: if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it.
Yeah. Well, that is very, very true. But like, also, I mean, I'm not shy to say that I've seen you've had some personal difficulties leading. You know, I mean, you find social media overwhelming from time to time.
That's all just a part of life.
You've got a lot of work and stuff. So, but basically what you're saying is ain't no stopping now.
No, there ain't no stopping now.
Okay.
You know, look, as long as the public is behind the work we're doing, there's no reason to stop.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, it comes down, I suppose, to... and I say our because it's not strictly my judgment. I'm the beard, but it's like there's quite a team of people behind this whose help, if I did not have, this wouldn't be possible. Wouldn't be happening. So in terms of the decisions we make and the judgment we exercise, you know, sooner or later, the public could call bullshit and say, no, we don't agree with the decisions you're making.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have every right to vote with their wallets.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we would, you know, that is the nature of public service. I wish the politicians could look at the work we're doing. You know, not to try and blow my own horn, but I think, you know, we are doing the work of public service.
Yeah.
To our community,
Yeah.
And we try and stay true to that as best we can. And it's not to say that we can't be challenged or that we haven't been challenged.
Yeah.
You know, but that's another story altogether,
Yeah.
which is pointless to get into now.
Sure, absolutely.
There's always going to be a bit of like ooh and ah, and you know what's going on here and the story behind the story and all that nonsense.
Sure.
But you know, I'm an open book. People can approach me on these things,
Sure.
and I will work with them.
And I
on
think
it.
that's another, you know,
Yeah.
thing that is a benefit to this whole program and to this whole you know, endeavor, because it is an endeavor. It's ongoing. It's yearly,
yeah.
and I also feel like sometimes you need to be reminded of the work you do. That's why I do that.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
do
thank
that
you.
kind of thing. But also let's before we run out of time, let's go to who is on Summerfest. Nobody knows.
Yeah, no
and
one knows.
Submissions there. That's a whole new element that has been introduced to the M4A brand and the Summerfest 21. I think it's super exciting. Before we get that, I see a couple of questions in the chat. Let's quickly address them quickly.
Cool.
So we got what's up? Julian says online Winterfest was such fun. I didn't attend the Discord Winterfest thing. I'm such a tool. Yeah, dude. Audience restrictions will be mental, hard on promoters. Yep. So the question here it is: do you reckon after all this cuck, do you also think that the work bands have to do what? The work the bands are going to have to do it for harder. For instance, every great gig is streamed and every album has a video.
All right.
What are your thoughts?
I think that goes without saying. Even before COVID, it's becoming harder.
Yeah.
COVID has just brought to us the reality of that, the way I see it. And I say that as a long time performing and recording musician. You know, and I say that coming from, like, I suppose what is now considered an old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, I've learned that in the circles I move as a musician and the people who I work with as a musician, we're all from a different era, a different generation, and we are struggling to adapt. I'll be honest. You know, we don't have the skill set. We were not born with the technology in our hands.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a cruel thing to say. But, you know, like I got my first cell phone after I left school.
I remember when I had my first beer.
Yeah. I mean, I got my first computer at age 23 and I didn't know how to use the thing. You know, I had to learn. Whereas, you know, like at school these days, I mean, I don't know about South Africa, but I can see in other countries, like, I mean, you can learn subjects like 3D printing at school level. And like 3D printing is effectively like telling machines what to do. It's robotics.
Yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous. And like kids know how to code and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of
Scary.
the work that bands have to do, guys, the Brave New World caught up with us years ago.
Yeah.
And if you're not on this wagon already, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I struggle to find words of encouragement, and I bring this from I believe like a clean and pure place, because that's what we're faced with.
Correct. Yeah.
As Minor Salt. It's like we are not equipped to deal with the entertainment world we now find ourselves in.
Yeah. It's scary, man.
Yeah, so it's like basically if, you know, and a lot of musicians I speak to and have been speaking to over the many years
Yeah.
that have been involved in this, there's always the ideal point of view of how things should be. Forget that shit.
Forget it.
Forget it. There's no how
Forget
things
about
should
it.
be.
Yeah.
Like rubbish.
Sure.
Like, don't come tell us how things should be. That's a
Yeah.
fantasy world
Yeah.
that doesn't exist. You have to be pioneering and enterprising and adaptable, able to learn. In my individual capacity, I try to be that, but I feel that at my age, I'm always like half a step at the best of times, half a step behind. You know what I mean? At the worst of times, I'm way behind. You know, like the rest of the pack. And that's just me. Now I put a whole bunch of band members together who's of a similar age. And it's like we all have our limitations and restrictions in terms of our understanding of the world we currently live in.
Yeah, yeah.
We live in the time of where the youth are actually in charge. You know, and that's me saying as a very almost 40-year-old man.
It's Pat's birthday next week, people, and he is turning 40.
Yeah. It's like this is the youth's world.
Yeah.
And I think the definition of youth is under the age of 30.
Yeah.
So bands who are
Damn
under
it,
the age of
I
30,
didn't make it.
if you guys are not doing the things that are required of you to fit into this COVID world, then like I actually feel that you've got no excuses. You don't have the excuses we have. You know what I mean? No, like I'm speaking quite opinionated and freely now. But the point is, like,
You got to get with the times, man.
level up.
Yeah, level up. Get with
yeah.
the times.
It's a brave new
Invest
world.
in a camera. Invest in some decent equipment.
Nothing is easy.
Yeah,
in
no,
life.
100%.
Nothing is easy. And if you think that because you might have a bit of talent for doing music, that it should be easy. No, my friends, life is not easy.
No, absolutely. Cool. Quickly, one more question, because I see there's another one. I hear what Pat is saying about the risk of doing it for money, but it only goes downhill if the person's a dick, and Pat is not. You will probably do it way better, my 2 cents. And art, I think we agree a lot, but I couldn't agree with you more in this instance. But we'll let that sit. That's food for thought for you for down the line. If you ever wanted to, do that kind of thing. But back to the submissions. This interests me big time, because now you're accepting submissions. Usually in the past, what you do, you would approach bands to say, listen, you're on our council or our committee has all unanimously decided or voted that you are probably the right band to fit on this bill. Will you accept? Obviously, because I mean that's another thing. I've obviously had the pleasure of playing Summerfest and Winterfest a couple of times in my musical career, which they are still the best memories I ever hold. And also, I'm also of the opinion that I'm an idiot because I haven't bought the last 2 T-shirts. I had all 2018s, all 2019s, and then 2020 I slipped up. So I will be buying T-shirts for myself and my other half for this one, obviously in support of the show as well. I want to, and also just to say, I'm happy to assist in any way, shape, or form here. To be honest, you can call on me for anything. I will happily assist. I've got limited knowledge.
Maybe we'll
stuff.
have you as a presenter next time.
Hey,
how would you guys like having Papa G on?
Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Vote for Papa G. Vote for Pedro.
Remember, you're up against Nathan and Rick and me now.
Oh shit! Yeah, hell's bells. Listen, we could take turns.
All right. So submissions.
Yes, let's go.
All right. Look, we've done submissions before. In terms of doing the live shows, but the funny thing about Winterfest was our method of having a lineup selections committee, like all went to hell when we went online. Yeah, because suddenly it's like, how do we measure anything? Like we can't even get together in a room, let alone like compare notes and look at videos and go out and watch bands and such things. Yeah. And we used to do that kind of stuff, like we would always try and have someone from M4A at shows, not always be known to anybody, but especially if there's new bands or whatever, or bands who haven't played in a while. And it's like, it's like we care about what's happening out there. We care about the experience that the people are going to get when they come to one of our shows. We need to have a finger on the pulse. That all went to hell. So for Winterfest, it was more a question of approaching. It was about expediency, which I feel embarrassed to even say, but what else could we do? So we approached bands who we believed were most likely to have a certain capability. And some of the bands we approached who we really had a lot of faith in were like, nah. Wow. And it's like, cool. So this time we feel, who are we to judge what a band's capability is without really actually knowing what that capability is? Yeah. But now we have a little bit more time. So
Yeah, I mean, what 1st of October tomorrow. This is end of Jan.
yeah, but hey, there's not much time. Everything's on the clock.
Yeah,
It's
no,
always on
yeah,
the
yeah.
clock.
Can I just say one thing? Just before you carry on, just hold your thought. Is one thing that really I just had a little bit of a heart moving moment where you said we used to have people in the field. And our second show we ever played at Raw, Rian van Eck came behind and said, "Yes, I really love you guys.
Yeah.
I'd love for you guys to be in part of the M4A like family and stuff." So, just remembering Rian van Eck for the person he was and how important the scene was to him. Hey?
Yeah.
It was very, very, very a tragic story, but he is forever in our memories and our hearts, because that was our first introduction to M4A.
Yeah.
But that was before we played Summerfest 2015 on the 1st of February, after a month of my death-defying accident that I had on New Year's Day. It was crazy. Yeah. But just wanted to mention that because it popped up in my head. But submissions, So carry on what you're saying, because I got another follow-up question there after.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, time is of the essence, people. Always. So there's only 3 months left, basically 3 months and a week before we need final product. I hate using that word, but we have to. It's a new world.
It is.
We have 3 months and a week to deadline where we need content.
Yeah.
So at this stage, our hope is that during lockdown, bands have not been on the stages as much, but maybe they've been productive in other ways.
Yeah.
Writing material or recording, or there's some bands we know who were supposed to release albums. I'm in one of them. That just couldn't happen.
Sure.
So what we learned, where I said how, when we talked about our 4 lessons, how the solo artists actually got a lot of engagement at Winterfest. We believe it's because they approached their content very differently to how a band would automatically engage their content. Like a band is a performing act, and that's how we think of ourselves. But I think the success of the solo artists was because they had to think of themselves as outside of just the performing act box.
Yeah.
They were so much more creative with how they approached this challenge. And what we've realized is, for a lot of people, look, it's about quality. And unless we or they, as the bands, are spending a huge amount of money, or let's put it this way, an unreasonable amount of money to get a super high quality production, it's just not going to capture that audience.
Yeah.
So we have to think more creatively about the content we are creating for online consumption. So our point of view for Summerfest is we want to kind of appeal to the bands who have the ace up their sleeve.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, carry on.
The bands who have been working on an EP or an album, or even just 2 or 3 songs. But if they can, in their submission, say, Pat, METAL4AFRICA team, we are capable of delivering approximately 20 minutes of nice quality content that no one's seen before, then that's first prize.
Sure.
That is what will engage an audience.
Absolutely.
That'll do you guys and us, I believe, the best service possible. It's not to say that if you do a conventional performance, similar to what we saw on the video you showed of Ashley and them, that was phenomenal. It's not to say that won't be worthwhile. It's not to say that we would reject that kind of content.
Yes,
we certainly wouldn't. But in terms of what we saw worked, we would say think about it differently. Perhaps think about a performance at METAL4AFRICA more of as a 15 to 20 minute music video. It's got to have production value.
Absolutely.
It's got to sound good. It's got to look good.
So my question to you is the general feel that I got from at least Well, not all. All three of the artists, they adopted somewhat of a storytelling
Yes.
kind of vibe. Robin would introduce her songs. Carry on, yeah, carry on.
And so did Deadline.
Yes, they
Like-
did actually. They had Baz giving the whole background.
The thing is, their time that was allocated to them was used in. I'm going to use that word again. It was used in a dynamic way.
Correct.
Whereas for a lot of the bands, they basically just did what they would ordinarily do on stage in front of a live audience, which was static, not dynamic. So I think those artists who applied themselves dynamically were the ones who enjoyed the greatest engagement. So, and what you said about a storyline is like key, because it's like you're taking your audience on a little bit of a journey, a little lead by the hand somewhere. Whereas when you do a live performance, you're kind of leaving your audience to their own devices. In real life too, like actual show, real life too. Like if your delivery does not live up to the expectation of the individual, you lose them.
Actually, this is a great lesson for artists to learn, especially in this day and age and what we have to deal with in terms of the current pandemic and not being able to play live shows. But this also translates down to live level. You can't just nowadays have a band that gets up on stage and says, this song's this, play. This song's this, play. You've got to create that engagement.
Yeah.
You've got to communicate with your audience.
Well, look, you can have that,
Yeah.
but it's never going to be Iron Maiden. And I mean, I don't know how many of you guys watched Iron Maiden when they were here in Cape Town, but if you didn't, you can watch a tour online any day of the week. And if you look at how their set unfolds, look, we obviously don't have those budgets, but you don't need the budget, you need the imagination.
Correct.
And when you watch an Iron Maiden show, it's like every song unfolds a new chapter of the story they're telling.
For sure.
So they try and give you a unique audio and visual experience as each song unfolds. So you have at one song during the night, you've got Eddie comes out and stomps across the stage. Then, but that's the only time you see Eddie.
Yes.
But then at another time of night, now you've got the Eddie that comes up as a big balloon behind the stage. So
You were
it's
at
not
that
the
show,
same
huh?
Eddie. Yeah,
No, me too.
It was phenomenal.
Oh, wait.
So
Oh, no, wait, I don't know. It's behind you.
yes. So, like, I think that's the point. That's the essence of what the solo artists in particular achieved doing Winterfest, that some of the bands, I don't want to use the word failed,
Yes.
to achieve.
Yeah.
But you guys get
I get,
my point.
yeah, I
You
completely
guys
get what
my
you're saying.
point.
But look, but that kind of is going in with what I'm saying. It's going, it's saying performing your songs immaculately is not really, it's not enough these days. You know, you have to.
Was it ever?
Well, for some, yes. For some, no.
Yeah.
I've always been an avid fan of giving a performance your absolute all, and kind of like, in the beginning I was like, oh, if I did this, I'd look so silly. Or, oh man, if I said this, what would people think?
Yeah.
Or, man, shit.
Yeah.
Then after 3-4 shows later, I had this thing where I'd go, how's everybody feeling?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
even the
yeah.
freaking vocalist, I was just the guarist. And it seemed to just work. And
Yeah.
then eventually we would just start bantering on stage, and it created a somewhat of an engagement, but also some, comedic value and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, not every band is equipped to do exactly that.
But I'll tell you a secret as well. Huh? Not really a secret. Not now, anyways. When Minor Salt's lead guitarist, our founding member, lead guitarist, Francois, moved to Namibia in 2012, we kind of had to consider to replace him because he was still coming and doing gigs for like 3 years.
That's when you had Ryan playing with you.
Yeah. So, there were several guitarists who we really thought would be an excellent fit. But we also had to consider very carefully, like, do we want someone who's going to perform like 100% diligently? Or do we want someone who's going to perform headbanging?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So like we actually chose performance value.
Correct.
Someone who was comfortable moving on stage, perhaps more than someone who was actually a better player.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it's because we understood that, you know, we were a live band.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people enjoyed our live shows. So it's like we didn't want to like get a guitarist who would play immaculately but be static on stage.
Yeah.
Anyways,
The performance value is massive, and
Yeah, yeah.
you're speaking to the right person there. I mean, because I pride myself on live performances
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then I joined Ill System, and then Sean put me to shame because literally he puts everybody.
yeah,
to
he's
shame.
always climbing on things
Yes,
and hanging
yeah.
from
I mean,
the rafters.
we don't know if he's gonna leave with legs intact or anything like that, and I think that's the fun about it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I really wanted to touch on, and you may have thought about this already, I probably have, is that with these submissions, you're gonna get so many submissions with these bands with these 25-minute clips.
Well, I hope so. Well, no, they don't need to submit now with a completed clip, but they do need to submit
An example.
kind of with a proposal.
Yes.
So I think at submissions level, like, so I posted an article today on the Metal for Africa website, and we'll try and make this link more widely available.
I'll put it in the description.
Thanks.
Sure.
But effectively, you know, in order to submit, you click through to a Google form. Another lesson I learned from my fucking pal Sashkita.
Shashkita, sorry, my bad.
She like teaches at a Google school, so like she's teaching me as well. Anyways, so you click through to a Google form, and in there, you know, it gives all the information we need.
Well, shit, I know all of that about that being a panel member for the Summers.
Yeah.
Woo! It's intense stuff.
Yes,
It's not for the
yes.
faint-hearted by
But
any
it's
stretch of the
beautiful
imagination.
because the bands can easily access that, fill in what we need to know from them. And in that form, we basically, like, it's not a prerequisite that you necessarily have something to show us even. It's advantageous, obviously.
Yeah.
So a band who has more to show now already is a band we're more likely to feel strongly about working with. But you know, with Metal for Africa, we've often always gone with what we call the wild card.
Yeah.
And that wild card often says, let's get a band who's not necessarily popular, but a band who we feel is strong.
Yeah.
And often that's proven fantastic.
Yeah, but you're giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
You know?
So we have to get the popular bands too.
Yeah.
But we don't want to make the event just all about the popular bands.
Sure, but I think the way you approach it is great, because you show faith in people that some people may not show this faith, and then they end up being massive success stories.
Yeah. I mean, a very rewarding experience was working with Portraits of Flesh.
Okay.
When they came and played, I think it was last Winterfest, like the physical one. So we're talking 2019. Like, not very many people have heard of them or are familiar with them down here in Cape Town, but like, we knew about them. It's like,
And they put on a killer show, right?
yeah, it was intense. It was dark, and it was, you know, it's like a lot of the things which in the Cape Town scene currently we don't have active bands doing. So sometimes we will get a band not because they're popular, but because they fill a void.
Yeah.
And us as like metalheads, we want to have this broad representation. So yeah, like a band shouldn't feel that they can't submit just because they don't have the strongest content now.
Yeah.
But if they can put a proposal, and like, I'm not going to go into the details now. Bands can go and find that form and look at it and see what we're asking of them. It's not that intense.
Yeah.
But if they put forward a proposal, but now we're going back to a committee, whereas Winterfest past was like just clutching at straws, to be honest.
For sure.
We've still got a quality thing together, so we were so blessed. But this time we want to try and start working back towards what we know we should be doing.
Sure.
Which is back to committee affairs, because that's the fairness and the unbiased, and it eliminates the nepotism and all that stuff, which we often get accused of anyways.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Fuck you to all the trolls. Sorry. Excuse my language.
And obviously working back towards live.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, submissions. Let's do it. Let's see what's out there. Let's see who's got the capability that we've been unaware of. Let's see who's got the vummer, who's got the wind in
You've
their
already
sails.
eliminated a lot of people just by that.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, I'm being quite honest. A lot of people will just say, nah.
Yeah.
But you'll get the people that will put max effort into it. Those will be the people that obviously make the bill and you know, if you show a great proposal and stuff. But what I was saying is, this may encourage people to look at a different avenue.
Yeah.
Almost as not different avenue, but look to an additional avenue to say, okay, it's not all about live now. We need to create a platform. We need to be able to, if we're not going to be able to be playing shows, we're going to have to put stuff on video and audio and tell stories about the music and stuff. And because that's where people engage. They want to hear stories behind the music. They want to, it's almost like, it's a storyteller kind of thing.
There's a very important aspect that I'm just going to say I haven't really thought about much until this very moment. But it's like, who cares if it's not the best bands in the country? Did we have fun?
Yes. And I like it when I provoke thought.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, we're obviously very proud of a lot of the lineups we've been able to put together, because we've always felt that it's like, you know, in those lineups, they are among the cream of the crop of what the country has to offer.
Yeah.
But among those lineups, there's also the, like, you know, fresh blood and some of the oldies who might be a little bit dated, but they still mean a lot to us as a community and so on and so forth. You know, who cares if it's not the best bands? Let's just enjoy this fraternity of metal loving people.
It's also people who are you know, I don't like to use, I know we've been using the best bands. I don't like to use the best bands. It's the bands who are
like,
willing to put the work in.
Must have a Sammer winner on the lineup. Rubbish, man. We don't
not at
need
all.
that.
It's
not to take anything away from that.
Of course.
But it's like...
But we're also poking a bit of fun, you know, and saying, listen,
of course.
Don't take life so goddamn seriously. At the end of the day, we're trying to put on a product. We're doing our absolute best. And you know what? If you want to be a part of it, submit your things. If you don't want to be a part of it, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you you're going to get a lot of submissions. And you're going to get a lot of people fighting for those
I
positions.
look forward to seeing
Yeah.
them.
Absolutely.
I really do.
I think I might be one of the bands pushing for that posse, so we'll see. Absolutely. I mean, just a little bit of a thing for your whole ears. As Ill System's working on some great stuff, and we'll be back up in your face soon. But look, we're going 2 hours now, Pat. This has been one. Do you know what? It's been the greatest introduction back to in-person interviews. I don't like to call them interviews either. In-person chin wag sessions.
Yeah.
Where
beard wag.
Yeah, beard wag. We got the main beard. We got the short beard, and it's
Next
all
time
happening
I come
down.
here, I want to see that thing longer.
It's gonna be a bit long. Listen, it was a bit longer. You remember me
I
at
do
Ramfest?
remember.
I had a
Yes,
little bit of a
yes,
longer beard.
yes.
And speaking of Ramfest, hands on.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
hands
yeah,
on.
yeah.
You carried this down that big steep hill along with us, and you assisted me getting it on stage, off stage, everything. And that's what I love about you, that you're so hands on about everything.
But you know, when I said earlier on, this word leader sometimes bothers me a bit. Like, that's not my natural role in life. I'm a hands-on kind of person.
Yeah, but can I call bullshit quickly? Can I
me
call
finish.
bullshit?
No,
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 I'm going to call bullshit by saying you lead by example.
Well,
Boom.
maybe. But when I look at where I started, I started as a stage manager.
Yeah.
That actually is my passion.
Yeah, sure.
I love that work. You have no idea how much I love that work.
But now you got Ollie Sagerson.
Yeah,
No, I'm only
to work with me.
Shout out, Ollie.
At like, well, yes, granted. But I love that work, and I miss it. So when Ram came back and we had a budget and like only X amount of staff, that like, you know, you can't let something like this become too top heavy. So it's like, all right, here's my opportunity to come and do what I truly love again. Yes, and did I love it?
But you could see it. You could see
Yeah.
that you just had such a vibe for it. And you're like, no, don't worry. I'm like, that, just chill out, bro. And you're like, no. It's fine.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
want it to work smoothly, blah, blah, blah. But any parting words, man? I mean, we've I'm gonna have to watch this back to go back to what we talked about, and and thank you so much for being patient while setting up all this. As you know, there's lots of moving parts and all that kind of jazz, but it's been absolutely amazing, and it was worth the year and a half wait to get you back.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we had a Zoom interview previously prior to Winterfest
It's
20,
not
but
the
it's just not the same, man.
Yeah.
It's not the same. So I really thank you so much for coming all the way out to see me and to chat to me. I hope it was worth your while.
Anytime.
And it's been absolutely fantastic, and I hope we can do it again within the next 6 months. So no, 3 months.
4 months.
It's 4 months. So it's
Yeah.
October, November, December, January. So in the next 4 months, if you could just make a little bit of time for me, we will have a little update and see how things are going and how things are progressing. First of all, order your t-shirts. Where do they go to order the t-shirts?
All right. So in the article I posted today, that information is there. But to order a T-shirt, it's quite simple. You just send to the email address t-shirts. That's with the S. It's a plural. T-shirts at metal4africa.com. Just mail there. Tell us what you want. And
For
we'll
sure.
help you out. You know, like if you follow the article, we give a proper breakdown of what we would like to hear from you exactly.
For sure.
But, you know, don't do that work if you don't feel like it. Just mail us and we'll get back to you and we'll sort you out.
But we also encourage you to do that at the same time, because it not only assists in the process, it makes their lives a lot easier if they've got a lot more to work with. So, guys, if you want to be involved in this experience, do make the effort. It's only going to be worth your while at the end of the day. And if you're a fan, if you're someone who loves the local, I don't like calling it underground, but you were the person who called it underground on
I still
episode
do,
3.
yeah.
On episode 3, if any of you guys are fans of the underground South African scene, do your bit, because it only makes everybody's life easier, and it just adds to the fun. So go check out t-shirts go email t-shirts at metal4africa.com. Order your t-shirts, because it is going to a good cause. For bands, send your submissions in. Send them now, because at the end of the day, it gives the guys a lot to review. You never know. You could end up on that bill before you know it. So send your submissions in. Where do they send their submissions?
Okay, that has to be via the Google form.
Okay.
So that at this stage is only accessible through the article I posted on Metal for Africa today.
Link will be in the description.
But I mean, visit metal4africa.com, and on the landing page you will see where to click. Make no mistake. have no doubt. The title of the article is Summerfest 21, How We'll Do It.
How we'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Guys, this has been such a great, informative, fun episode. I've learned so much about the past experience of Metal for Africa 20. I'm learning lots about what's going to be happening with Summerfest 21. Pat, I want to say thank you so much for joining the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you back again. This is your third appearance, second in person. I couldn't be happier with the way we're kicking off the in-person interviews again, sessions, chinwag sessions, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for joining the show, man. I've really,
what a pleasure,
really
man.
appreciate it.
And love your work.
Thank you so much,
doing
man. I
it.
appreciate it. And like I said, I'm going to be hounding you so I can host one of those watch parties. And also, please let me know if there's anything I can do, any knowledge I can possibly side with, if any. I'm always willing to help. I'm here for the scene. This is the reason this podcast exists.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all soon. But Patrick Davidson of Metal for Africa, Mind Assault, and all the good things, the man beard. This is Papa G's House, episode 64.
Yes. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Until
guys.
then, any parting words?
Guys, from speaking on behalf of the Metal for Africa team, we've done our part. We've done it to the best of our ability. Summerfest and the future
It's in your
is
hands.
now in your hands.
I love it. I love it. This is Papa G's House, episode 64 with Patrick Davidson of METAL4AFRICA.com. We're out. We're out.